Hello and welcome back to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Welcome to Northern Colorado. We're at home and we have the new Volkswagen ID.4 all-wheel drive. It was almost 1 year ago exactly where we had not our first experience, that was over a year ago, but our experience here in Colorado with the rear-wheel drive where we got snowed in. If you go back and look at those videos, hopefully they've helped in your buying decision. I know a lot of people buying ID.4s watch the videos on our channel. That's why we keep making them with this car. You know, normally we cover a car 1 or 2, maybe 3 videos, and then we move on to the next. But with this car, it keeps coming up because you guys keep watching. So thank you so much for your continued support and interest in ID.4. This is the ID.4 Pro S all-wheel drive. It is the maxed out version of the ID.4 here in the US, and it is the first time I'm able to drive the car. Now, in the title I say I drive the ID.4 for the first time, the all-wheel drive, which is true, but I actually drove it yesterday, so it's a little bit clickbaity. But let me walk you through some of the updates to this car, some of the differences, and this isn't going to be the full review because you guys are so interested in ID.4. Give me a few days, but I'm going to give you a super in-depth review of the whole car, going through all of the driving dynamics. This is more or less just going to be our first taste of the all-wheel drive, if you will. Now, on this channel, my colleague Brandon also got to experience the ID.4 all-wheel drive in Chattanooga at the Volkswagen factory. I was still in Europe at the time, and I think potentially even driving this car's sister car, the Q4 e-tron, at that exact time, but we'll have to see. It doesn't really matter. What am I trying to say? ID.4 all-wheel drive. Let's take a look. We have the base taillights in the US for ID.4. We don't get any of the cool 3D lights that they get in Europe just for FM VSS stuff. I see the same trailer hitch down here that was on the first edition that we tested that was only available on the first edition. That's great to see. I think it can actually tow now 2,700 pounds with the all-wheel drive system. Let us know if you want us to do some testing. This video is going up right away. As soon as we get the car, we have it for about a week, maybe a little bit more. So anything you guys want to see, let us know. I'm thinking about comparing it to some other electric cars in its class, doing a drag race between this and the rear-wheel drive. You know, we always have access to the rear-wheel drive ID.4s here as well, so maybe a little bit of a comparison there. And let's go through some of the differences. We have this nice blue all-wheel drive badge here matching the Pro S. That looks good. A much higher ride height than the standard car. Wow, this thing is sitting tall, isn't it? And the all-wheel drive in Europe is branded the GTX, which has a lowered suspension with dynamic chassis control. This does not have active dampers, but it does have the larger front brake rotors. So I want to say they're a ½ inch larger up front than the rear-wheel drive car. So we'll have to see how that goes. This one, being a Pro S, has the really good headlights. I love this headlight unit. It's so cool looking. It gives the car such a personality. The light up Volkswagen badge, we've seen that on this channel before. Overall, it's pretty hard to tell from the outside an all-wheel drive apart from a rear-wheel drive. The higher ride height gives it away, and then this all-wheel drive logo right here. But overall, pretty much the same. Love this spec, this blue color with the gray interior. I love the gray interior in ID.4. The black interior has this bit being brown in the Pro S. Not sure I like that so much. My dad has it in his ID.4, which he'll be making a video from an ownership perspective of ID.4 all-wheel drive. And yeah, just a great interior, big glass roof, massaging seats. You guys know we love that. But Alyssa's here too. So what do you say, Alyssa? We jump in, take it for a little drive, talk about maybe what we're going to do with this over the next week or so. I think we have a lot of cool videos planned. And yeah, beautiful night, sun's going down. Let's go for a rip. Hey Alyssa, before we go, why don't you tell us how much this car is?
Just about $51,000.
So what's the exact? It's 51 even?
No.
What is it?
$50,000, 870.
So 5870. What options are on this one? We have dark blue with black roof, lunar gray leatherette interior, gradient package with the 20-inch wheels. We don't get the 21s in the US. I wish we did. Single speed automatic transmission, and that's it. So it's $50,870, including the almost $1,200 destination fee, which is a lot of money for destination, but these cars are coming from Europe. They're not localized in Chattanooga. I don't expect that number to change. Driving the car, we're going to start out in comfort mode. This isn't going to be our full driving review, just sort of a first taste of the ID.4 all-wheel drive. And instantly, I'm already noticing that the power gauge doesn't go all the way down to the end. It just shows that it can give us like 90% of the available power. And I think that's because we're at low state of charge and the car's a little bit cold. So if I go over here to charging, we can take a look at our state of charge. I wish Volkswagen would put a percentage gauge here on the screen. They do, but only when you get below 10% state of charge. We're at 54%. And when I drove the Q4 e-tron, which is the exact same drivetrain, I'll explain how that works in a little bit. When pack voltage comes down, essentially when you're below 80, 70% state of charge, you don't get max power in that car. The boost functionality, as Audi calls it, goes away, and here in the ID.4 it just limits your max power output. But even with that, feels pretty quick. What do you think?
I agree. It's not too fast. It's not obnoxiously fast, which is good. It's just your normal basic car.
Yeah, I would. Well, it's a lot faster than your standard SUV. We're lucky. We live in our dream world where we test like really fast stuff.
Right. For an EV, I would say it's pretty slow. It's about the same as our smart car, I would honestly say.
No, this is way quicker than the smart car. Are you kidding me?
I don't know. Maybe
you want to do a drag race?
We might have to do a test with that.
we can drag race the smart in this. That could be kind of fun.
Yeah.
But this will smoke the smart car. So we're here at beautiful Horsetooth Reservoir in Fort Collins, Colorado. The sun's going to be a little bit harsh for a few sections of this video just because the sun is going down. But we just got this car and figured we would share it with you and see what you want us to do with it. We have a lot of things planned. I'm going to be doing a range test, of course. I don't think another charging test because Volkswagen has not updated their charging software for ID.4 yet, so it's still doing 125 kilowatt peak. Remember the ID.3 that we drove in Europe, Alyssa? So that car did 130 kilowatts, maybe even a little bit more, 131, 132, and that had the smaller battery pack. So that had the new software on it that this car doesn't yet have. So we'll see. So this is 77 kilowatt hour battery pack usable. I want to say 82, 83 installed capacity, something like that. Uses the same permanent magnet rear motor out of the rear wheel drive and then an induction motor on the front. The nice thing about this permanent magnet on the rear and the induction on the front is because the inductive motor isn't always permanently excited, essentially there's not current running through it all the time, every time it spins, it can shut off. And so therefore, under normal driving and cruising, this car, according to the EPA, only gets 10 miles less range than the rear wheel drive, and that's just the weight penalty of having the front motor and maybe the slightly higher suspension. You following me?
No, you lost me about 2 minutes ago.
What? I'm being super basic. And so essentially, if this car was a dual permanent magnet system, it would probably have less range than it does with the induction up front. The other benefit is driving around slowly like this, we hear nothing. No motor noise. But if I roll into it, hear the front motor there? And what it's doing is it uses the rear motor most of the time. And then when you blend in throttle, it then kicks on the front motor. Now in like an off-roady situation, that's probably going to be a little bit awkward because you want four-wheel drive all the time. So I think Volkswagen's thought about it. One of our tests is putting this car through the new out-of-spec hill climb challenge. You think it could do it?
I don't know.
I don't think it can do it, but we'll see how far up the hill we can get it. But we go over here to mode, and there's a new mode called traction mode. And now I think, yeah, hear the front motor even at light throttle. So I think it keeps both motors engaged all the time. Ah, that's pretty cool. I like that. What a cool idea. Of course, anytime the rear wheels spin, it will blend in the front motor. I need to turn off Hello ID because she keeps coming up every time I talk to her. Here she comes again. And, you know, everything good about the rear wheel drive car stays here with the all-wheel drive. The only real drivability difference is it's not as good of a turning radius. Have you seen this car in the turning radius yet?
Yep, I watched it in the parking lot, and I don't really recall the other car.
The other car was crazy. It was like the i3 or the Smart. Here, look, I'll just do a quick loop turning all the way. It's still really good, right? No one's coming. It's still really good, but it's not like full lock like the rear wheel drive ID.4's had.
Well, that makes sense.
So what else do we have to talk about with this car? It's higher ride height. I don't know the exact, I have to look at, this is before I've researched anything, but I know it's a higher ride height than the rear wheel drive. I want to say a couple inches. I don't know. It seems a lot higher, maybe
I definitely
about 1 inch.
That when I hopped in this for the first time, I said, wow, this is a lot higher than
Are there any other things that you noticed? Because you've spent a lot of time in ID.4 as well.
This one feels a little bumpier than I remember the rear-wheel drive.
Yeah, so I think we'll have to get out of the rear-wheel drive and right into this, and we'll do like a little comparison. We'll do the turning circle. Maybe we'll put chalk on the side of the car and have it draw a circle. Yeah. Overall, it's really not that different than the rear-wheel drive. It's just a little bit faster, but I wouldn't say it's like, I wouldn't get in this car and go, wow, it's fast. It just feels nice. I thought the last one was nice too.
There's a little visual differences that I noticed, like the lock key, unbutton the locks are a little bit different.
The other ones doesn't have that?
I don't recall it having.
But we'll go through. We have an early first edition that we're going to compare this to side by side, which will be kind of cool. So we'll do Pro S Gradient all-wheel drive versus first edition rear-wheel drive comparison. Anyway, I mean, it's got the new software, updates on it, which totally fixed the infotainment. Look, I was never one that said the infotainment was bad. And I think a lot of people were like, you're being paid by Volkswagen to say this car is good. And the answer is like, no, we don't accept money from automakers. You can give us the car to review. We review cars. We can't buy every car we review, but they go back. There's zero financial transactions going back and forth, right? I mean, you can attest to this. A lot of people are like, oh, you're a Volkswagen chill. I'm like, no, I just think the car's really awesome. I really do. Not perfect, though. There's some issues.
Yeah, there definitely. It's just a very practical car.
Yeah.
Very practical EV.
Great electric car. Great car in general. When a lot of people come to me when they're looking to buy a car, and they're like, hey, I just need a car to drive. I'm like, just get an ID.4.
Yeah. If my mom can figure it out.
That's right. We shot the video. Your mom has one.
Yeah.
And I shot a video with her. And if Lisa can figure this out, anyone can figure it out.
Anybody can figure it out. Oh, yeah.
So here we are just on a little bit of dirt, but we're going to be going through some trails with this car. Actually, nothing that will really push it, from a damage perspective, but we're going to articulate the suspension and see how the all-wheel drive system works. I was thinking about maybe doing some towing tests, which would be kind of interesting. And yeah, overall, you guys really have made the ID.4 one of our highest viewed cars. Anytime we mention it or talk about it, there's a lot of interest. And I think the reason is that it's just, like we mentioned, a great all-around car. The numbers aren't crazy on this car. It's not the fastest thing. It's not even that impressively fast, if I'm honest. To me, it's like, whatever. Okay. So it's got plenty of power to get you around day to day. It's not terribly amazing on the range, mid 200 mile range. Wow. Okay, whatever. But plenty for daily driving. And so overall, it's like nothing's amazing, but nothing's terrible. It just makes it a nice car to live with. And now, especially with the snappy software on this car, like you get in and pull away and everything just works. It's like, it's awesome. And there's little tricks that I think people have learned from us too. Like if you want to put the heated seats on, you just 2-finger tap this screen right here. You don't need to go inside a menu. Same with the windows. If you just hold, because there's only two front left and right window switches here, if you hold rear down, then you can control front to back. But there's a lot of things that have been updated that I'll go through in my full review, such as Audi Q4 e-trons now on the market that solves a lot of these things, adds some functionality like heads-up display, but then also interestingly doesn't have massaging seats, which I have on right now. And handling-wise, yeah, I mean, it just feels floaty. It's an SUV. It's fine. What?
I wasn't prepared for that.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll take you on our full driving loop, driving this in the city and the highway, of course, and in the mountains, and we'll do a range test. The range test will be on Inside EVs probably. Overall, great car, all-wheel drive. I really see, man, almost no downsides and only upsides. I wouldn't necessarily buy it for the power performance because ID.4 doesn't really encourage you to drive fast. But if you live in a cold climate, you're not giving up on anything. I can't wait till they update the charging curve, though. That's going to make this thing just truly amazing. There you have it. Our first quick experience in the ID.4 all-wheel drive. Can't wait to run it through all of our testing. That's what I love to do with electric cars. And of course, I'll give you a full review at the end of the week, walking through all the nitty-gritty stuff. That'll be an hour plus long video, probably. Woo! Is there anything you'd like to add about ID.4?
No. But if anybody wants us to test anything, just let us know in the comments down below, and
or on Twitter. What am I on Twitter? It's Kyle Connor. Links down below.
Yeah. Or just comment down on this video, and we'll take it into consideration and hopefully make a video for you.
Yeah.
So let us know.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think it's the first time we're actually asking you guys to tell us what to do with the car. It's more of an experiment than anything. We just, what do you want to see, and we'll make it. Should we do a brake test? It's got larger front rotors, but both cars get into ABS. I thought the brake pedal felt a little better than the rear-wheel drive.